We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.
You know, Michael, we were talking about children, and here's my question. When do you become an adult? According to Obama, it's not until age 26. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, you become an adult when you listen. Some of us have to become adults very young because if something happens in the family. We're there to have to take care of our family. You know, you look at my wife, who's from a family of 12. I mean, the older sister took care of the younger ones because the mother wasn't able to take care of all the children. So, you know, you become adult-like, you know, very early in life because of just the things that happen, in fact, around you. I hate to put a date on, say it's when you're 26. That means what? Up until you're 25, have a great time. But on your 26th birthday, watch out. You're now an adult. No. Life is about growing. Life is about learning. I'm still learning today. You know, am I the adult I'll be in 5 more years? No. Am I the adult I was 10 years ago? No, I'm not. But you've got to take responsibility. And you start taking responsibility for your life, you know, when you need to take responsibility for it. Going out and robbing a bank or shooting people or killing people is not taking responsibility. That's being irresponsible. That's acting out. And you've got to quit blaming others for all the problems you've got in your life. We live in a world where people are still blaming each other. I go out and speak at church groups or whatever and give my testimony, you know, and talk about these issues. And the reality is too many people out there blame their parents for how they are. And at what point, when you're 70 years old, you think you should stop blaming your parents? They're dead.
Yeah, right. Well, it seems like
it's time to quit blaming other people and say, what can I do to change things, to make things different in my life, to make my life, in fact, better than maybe it was for me. And parents need to understand that with them, more things are caught than taught. So you may try to teach your children something, but what are you doing that they're seeing, that they're catching? What are you teaching your children? And so everybody's got to become more responsible, and parents have to become more responsible. It's time for parents to grow up.
Well, I think you're right. I think one of the problems we have in our society today is the entitlement programs. That's one issue. And the other issue is everybody, especially in the government today, seems to want to blame Bush for every problem that's out there.
Well, I do. I mean, things don't go well at home. I just, dinner's bad. I tell my wife, honey, George Bush's fault.
Yeah. He has to be
the dogs act up, George Bush's fault.
Sure, why not?
That's why they're barking.
Well, listen, I want to...
It's so much easier to do that, isn't it?
Sure.
It's really great.
You bet. Oh, you bet.
Oh, yeah.
We got to have somebody to blame.
Yeah, honey, don't talk to me. It's George Bush's fault.
Yeah. I want to go back a step because you were talking about...
Who does George Bush blame?
The dog.
You know what I'm saying? Geez, Laura, don't blame me. Blame my father.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And he better not blame Barbara if he knows what's good for him.
Yeah.
She's feisty.
Truth?
Yeah, she's feisty. I wanted to go back a sec because you were talking about your life story, which reminded me of a book that you wrote a couple of years ago, and I listened to it on tape. And I got to tell you, Michael, it was... It touched me deeply because, you and I run into each other every 4 or 5 years, and I remember meeting you at Harrison's Boat Shop in the mid-'70s when you were the general manager there and I was an insurance agent running around. So, I've seen that progression, and when I listened to Twice Adopted, your book talking about your life story, I could see the progression in your life, and it really got to me. I mean, that, I know in a few minutes we'll talk about your new book, but anybody looking for a dynamite book on a life that was transformed, I highly recommend Twice Adopted. That was a dynamite book. I mean, what an incredible story that you've gone through. And your dad didn't even know any of this.
Nobody in the family knew any of it. I mean, I kept it from everybody.
Uh-huh.
And what have you. Oh, yeah, I didn't scare me to death. But that book's still available at Amazon.com. We use that book. I have a Mike Reagan Center down in Texas that deals with adoption, foster care, and abuse. Just had a meeting, in fact, today, on that, where the book is used as a training manual, if you will, for those who deal with children who are in foster care, also for children in foster care to learn that they're not alone, that other people have gone through exactly what they're going through, right now. And so we use it as a training manual for them, and so it's still used out there, quite a bit, if you will. And what's sad is that you've got 300,000 children a year taken out of their homes in the middle of the night because of neglect and abuse in the United States of America. 300,000 children a year,
Wow.
200 a night in L.A. County.
I mean,
And by the way, Harrison Boat Center is gone, but I still eat at the Hamburger Hamlet.
do you really?
Yeah.
Well, obviously my office isn't there anymore, but yeah, I love that place. That's a dynamite place. I miss Sherman Oaks. That was a lot of fun being down there. We're airing this on the 29th, and the week after that is the centennial of your dad's birthday at the Reagan Museum. There's all kinds of events planned and scheduled.
Yeah, if he were alive, he'd be at the Super Bowl.
I'm sorry?
If he were alive, he'd be at the Super Bowl.
That's right.
How could somebody dare have the 100th birthday on Super Bowl Sunday?
That's right. I forgot about that. It is
You know what
Super
I'm
Bowl
saying?
Sunday. Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious. I'm thinking to myself, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Where would my father be? The old saying, what would Reagan do?
Yeah.
Reagan would be at the Super Bowl.
I forgot about
Where'd he
that.
be?
That's that weekend.
What are you doing at the library, you fools? Be at the Super Bowl. Come on. Be where everybody else is.
I forgot about that. That is Super Bowl weekend. But, the next day, on Monday, they've got a dinner going that night. Newt Gingrich is going to be there, and he's going to be talking about his new book. So I'm planning it being there on Monday night. That should be fun.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of stuff going on at the library and what have you. Just had a float, in the Rose Parade, which was really kind of neat. Went down there and looked at. My good friends from the Jelly Bellies, they underwrote it. Herman did a great job. Him and his wife. I was with them down there when they were putting the float together and what have you. The float was great. Tim Estes, who was in charge of building the float, for 18 years in a row, he's won now the sweepstakes award at the Pasadena Rose Parade, and just a bunch of great people, great volunteers, able to be with the kids who put the flowers in the float. It was great. It was phenomenal, and it's going to be a great year. I'm throwing out the first pitch at a Chicago Cubs game August 6th.
Oh, great.
Which will be Ronald Reagan Day in Chicago at Cubby Stadium. So, my dad used to be an announcer there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be fun. So there'll be all kinds of things that'll be going on and celebrating the 100th birthday of Ronald Reagan. We're working with my foundation, Reagan Legacy Foundation. We'll take 100 kids this year and take them over the former Eastern Bloc. We took a group over last year to learn, what it's like to live without your freedoms and learn what Ronald Reagan did to really save the world. So we're working to do that with 100 children this year. In fact, people can go to Reagan.com, my website, and see all the things we're doing. Oh, I don't know if you're aware of this. I took Reagan.com and turned it into an email service provider. All your email addresses, AOL, all these people, all the money they send to Washington goes to the Nancy Pelosi's, the Harry Reids, the Barack Obamas, and what have you. So I took Reagan.com, greatest name in conservatism, and I made it an email service provider. It is the first ever all-conservative email service provider. So you, Marty, can have your name at Reagan.com, and the dollars that are made, the profits from that, will go to support conservative causes across the United States of America and around the world.
Great. Good. And I've seen you advertise that or mention it on Facebook, and your Facebook page is really active, and you talk about the interviews you do on Fox and other places, and that's a very, very informative site you've got, Michael. It's really great.
I'm busy with that kind of stuff. It's actually me too.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Which is scary that I'm actually doing. My wife looks at me, "You're Facebooking and tweeting?" Absolutely.
Well, listen, we're going to keep you
absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we're going to keep you for one more segment and talk about the book when we come back, okay?
You good. I'll be here.
Okay, this is Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.